Dear students, so in today's class we will discuss about network analysis. Okay, according to the MBA syllabus, the network analysis itself is a big module. Okay, so it is very important and it may come for a essay type question. So here let's see what is network. Okay, network is a combination of activities and events of a project. Now what is a project? Project can be basically anything, right? From construction of a road, construction of a building, or development of a software, then organizational study, anything of that sort which consists of lot of activities and events can be considered as a project. So here basically network is also network is a combination of activities and events that is taking place in a project. Okay, so here in network analysis, it provides techniques for planning, scheduling, controlling, monitoring, or coordinating large and complex project which consist of many activities. Fine. So here, what is the objective of this network analysis, or why are we studying this network analysis? Is that basically it is used for minimizing the total cost of project, minimizing the total time of project, minimization of resources, minimization of production delays, interruptions and conflicts, and finally to help in planning, scheduling and controlling the projects. So basically in project there are different phases where it requires planning, scheduling, controlling, monitoring and all that. So in order to help in doing these stages, or in order to help in completing these stages with minimum cost and minimum time and minimum interruptions, we use network analysis technique. Okay, so here project management. In a project consists of interrelated activities which are to be executed in a certain order before the entire task is completed, and these activities are interrelated in a logical sequence which is known as precedence relationship. Now what is a project is that it consists of number of activities, number of events. So all these activities, it is not in a random order, it is having a logical or sequential order. For example, there is an activity A, B, C and D involved in completing a task. Then sometimes if you say B can take place only if A is completed, then that is called precedence relationship. That means there is a logic sequence in which these activities are interrelated. So only if one activity is completed, the other activity will take place. So accordingly we are there is a interrelationship between various activities, and that sequence is called a project. Okay, so a project consists of interrelated activities which are to be executed in certain order before the entire task is completed. Only if it is in sequential order, the task will be successfully completed. Okay, a project is represented in the form of a network for the purpose of analytical treatment and to get solutions for scheduling and controlling its activities. Okay, now there are various phases which is involved in project management. Okay, the different phases of project management involves planning, scheduling and controlling. So there are basically 3 different phases in project management. The first one is planning. So let's see what is planning. In planning, it involves dividing the project into distinct activities, estimating time requirement for each activity, establishing precedence relationship among the activities, and construction of arrow diagram or network diagram. So what is basically planning? In planning, we will have to categorize different activities in the sequential order. That means only if one activity is completed, the other activity will take place. That is called the precedence relationship. So we are trying to establish the precedence relationship. We are also trying to estimate the time requirement for each activity so that we can reduce the total time involved in the whole process. And this is the whole thing is planned and it is represented using a arrow diagram or a network diagram. So all these things comes under planning. Then the second phase of project management is scheduling. Scheduling means determine the start and end time of each and every activity. So here in network diagram, every activity is represented using an arrow. Now for example, say this is node 1 and this is node 2. Okay, so 1 to 2 is the activity. This is the activity, and this first node and second node, these are called events. So every activity has a starting event and an ending event, or a tail event and a head event. Okay. Then scheduling basically involves the determining the start and end time of each activity. So for completing this activity, how much time is required, that is what comes under scheduling. Then the last phase, of the third phase, is controlling. It uses the arrow diagram and time chart for continuous monitoring and progress reporting. Okay. Then the second thing is, there are two basic techniques for project management. Now these two techniques are very, very important, and you will have to study problems based on these two techniques. The first one is CPM, or the critical path method, which is actually an activity oriented method, and the second one is PERT, or program evaluation and review technique, that is again a event oriented method. We will discuss these two things in detail. Okay. Now for network analysis, we need to draw a network diagram. So you cannot simply draw a network diagram. There are certain guidelines which has to be followed while we are drawing a network diagram. So let's see what are the guidelines. So the guidelines for network diagram, the first one is, the starting event and ending event of an activity are called the tail event and head event respectively. Now you need to consider this particular network diagram. This is a network diagram. Okay. So here there are totally 9 events. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. There are totally 9 events, and different activity is represented using an arrow or a capital letter for each. So first from 1 to 2 you have activity A, from 2 to 3 B, then 2 to 4 it is C, 2 to 5 it is D, 2 to 7 it is F, then 5 to 6 it is E, then you have 3 to 7 I, 7 to 8 H, and 8 to 9 is J. Okay, so these are the various activity. Each capital letter is representing the activity, and each and every circle is representing the node or the events. So here in the guideline, they are telling that the starting event and ending event of an activity are called tail event and head event respectively. Now consider this activity A. The tail event is 1 and the head event is 2. Now for activity B, the tail event is 2 and head event is 3. For activity I, the tail event is 3 and head event is 7. So an activity will have a tail and a head event. Now the second guideline is that the network should have a unique starting node or the tail event, and the third one says the network should have a unique completion node or head event. That means for every activity there should be one unique starting node and one unique ending node. So here you can see that for each and every activity there is a unique starting node and a unique ending node. Okay, no two activities have the same starting and same ending node. That is what that comes in the next one. No activity should be represented by more than one arc in the network. That means more than one arc means more than one arrow. So every activity is represented by a single arrow. Okay. Then no two activities should have the same starting node and the same ending node. Here every activity is having unique tail and head event. No two activities has the same tail and head event. Okay. Then last one is dummy activity is an imaginary activity indicating precedence relationship only. Duration of dummy activity is 0. So here you can see that from 4 to 5 it is represented using a dotted line, and again from 3 to 6 again it is represented using a dotted line. This shows a dummy activity. Okay, dummy activity means it just shows a precedent relationship. That means here it is saying that only after the completion of 3 6 will take place, or only after the completion of 4 5 will take place. But actually this is an imaginary activity. No such activity is actually existing, and that is why it is called dummy activity. Here the duration of the dummy activity will be always 0. So these are the guidelines that you need to follow while drawing a network diagram. Okay, so this is an example for the network diagram. Now we will discuss this in detail using a problem. Okay. Now consider this particular problem. Here consider the details of a project as shown in the table. Okay, so you are given a particular problem wherein the activities are given, immediate predecessors are given, and the duration is also given. Okay, duration is given in months. Now you need to draw a network diagram for this. Here in the question they are asking, construct CPM network, then determine the critical path and project completion time, then compute total floats and free floats for non-critical activities. So each and everything we will discuss in detail. In this video, I will be explaining you how to construct the network diagram for this particular question, and there will be a second video wherein we will discuss the second and third part, that is determining the critical path and project completion time and computing the total floats and free floats, because otherwise it will become a very lengthy one. So first we will discuss how we will construct a network diagram for this particular question. Now look at the question. You are given activity A, B, C, D till N. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. Till N you have these many 14 activities are there. Then you have immediate predecessors given and duration is given in months. So for this we have to construct the network diagram. Now activity A is having no immediate predecessor. Activity B also no immediate predecessor. Activity C also no immediate predecessor. What does that mean? That means it's all these three activities are having the same tail event, or they are starting from the same node. That means the starting node, and they don't have any other predecessor activity. Okay, so we will draw it. Now, so you have the first node here, correct? So the first node, this is node 1. So here in this question, A, B and C, they don't have immediate predecessors. So you can directly draw that. So here A, activity A, so that is 2. Then activity B, 3. And activity C. Since they don't have any immediate predecessors, we need to know that they are all starting from the same starting node. Okay. Now, so activity A, B and C is done. Now look at D. Okay, D, the immediate predecessor is B. What does that mean? D take place only after B is complete. Okay, so that means D will happen only after B is complete. So it should start from the third node. But before constructing, you need to check whether D is the immediate predecessor of any other event. Now look at this. See, look at this. Here D is the immediate predecessor of H, as well as D is the immediate predecessor of I. Okay, D is the immediate predecessor of H and I. And again D is coming along with C. What does that mean? D and C are ending at the same node. When you have two or more activities coming together, that means that they are ending at the same node. So C and D are coming and ending at the same node, and D is the immediate predecessor of H. So D will start from B and end in the node where C is ending. So where is C ending? C is ending at 4. So you will have to draw an arrow from 3 to 4, and this is considered as D. Okay, I hope this is clear. So now D is done. Then you need to go for E. E, the immediate predecessor is A. Now check whether E is immediate predecessor of any other activity. Here E is the immediate predecessor of J as well. But here E is independent. No other activity is placed along with E. So here E is the independent event, and E will take place only after A is complete. That means A is getting completed at node 2. So from here you can draw another one more arrow, and it is ending at some other node, say this 5, and you can write it as E. Okay, so E is an independent event. That is why we drew it like this. Okay, so E is done. Now F. F, again the immediate predecessor is A. So that means it is starting from node number 2 only. But now check whether F is the immediate predecessor of any other activity. When you check, you see that F, G and H are immediate predecessors of K as well as L. Okay, F, G and H are ending at the same node, and they are the immediate predecessors of K and L. Okay, and F will take place only after completion of A. So from here, that is from node 2, you can draw an arrow to another node 6, and you can put it as F. But remember, F, G and H is ending at node 6. So when you look for G, see G, the immediate predecessor is B, correct? And F, G, H are coming together. So G will take place only after B is complete. B is completing at node 3. So from node 3 you can draw an arrow to node 6 and put it as G. Because F and G, they are ending at the same point. I hope this is clear. Okay. Then again go for H. H again, F, G and H are ending at the same node, that is 6, and H will happen only after C and D is complete. Only after C and D is complete, activity H will take place. So where is C and D completing? C and D is completing at node 4. Okay, so from here you have to draw an arrow towards 6 and put it as H. I hope this is clear. So F, G and H is ending at the same node. Okay, F is happening only after A is complete, G is happening only after B is complete, and H is happening only after C and D is complete. I hope this is clear. Now go for the next activity. Now that is I. The immediate predecessor is C and D. Now look whether I is the immediate predecessor of any other activity. So I is the immediate predecessor of M, and I is an independent event. No other activities along with I. Okay, so this is an independent event, and this happens only after C and D is complete. So where is C and D getting completed? C and D is getting completed at node 4. So from there you can draw another arrow and mark it as I. Okay, so I is independent. It is not ending with any other thing. So that is an independent one. So you can put it as what? Number 7. Okay, you can put this as node 7. Now, so I is also done. Now J. J, E is the immediate predecessor of J. That means J will take place only after E is complete. So it is completing at node number 5. So you can draw J from here. Now check whether J is the immediate predecessor of any other activity. Yes, J and K are coming together. That means they will end at the same node, and it is the immediate predecessor of N. Correct? Okay. So from here you can draw another arrow and put it as 8. So this is J. This is J. Okay. So J is done. Now K. J and K will end at the same point. Okay. K happens from the node where F, G and H is ending. Right. So F, G and H is the immediate predecessor of K. Where is F, G and H ending? That is ending at node number 6. So K will start from node 6 and it will end where J is ending. And where is J ending? J is ending at 8. So from here you can draw an arrow towards 8 and put it as K. Okay. Then, so K is also done. Then L. L, F, G, H is immediate predecessor of L. And is L the predecessor of anything? No. L is not the predecessor of any other activity. So that means that is the ending activity. L, M and N, they are not the predecessors of any other activity. So these three activities are the ending activities, and L will take place when F, G and H are complete. So where is F, G and H getting completed? F, G and H is completing at node 6. So you can draw another line, another arrow and mark it as number 9, and L is getting completed there, right? Okay, then so L is done. Then M. I is the immediate predecessor of M, and M is the ending node. So I is the immediate predecessor. So from here, that is from 7, you have to draw an arrow towards 9, and that is called LM. Okay, then N. So M is also done. N, the immediate predecessor is J and K. So where is J and K ending? That is ending at 8. So from 8 you have to draw an arrow towards 9, and that is N. See, L, M and N are the ending activity. So everything will end at one point, that is 9, and 9 is the terminating node. Okay, and looking at the predecessor activities, immediate predecessor, you have to mark the arrow and activity. So I hope this is clear. So this is our network diagram. So our network diagram is ready. Okay. So now the next stage is we need to calculate the critical path. How we will calculate the critical path? We can calculate the critical path only when if we know the earliest start time and latest completion time. So how we will calculate earliest start time and latest completion time, we will discuss in the next video. So before that, here we have constructed this network diagram, and we have marked all the activities and nodes as well. Now before going, we need to mark the duration also. You have to mark the duration using brackets. Okay, so here for the first activity A, the duration is 2. So for A, the duration is 2, you need to mark 2. Then for B, the duration is 5, and for C, the duration is 4. Correct? So A it is 2, B is 5, and C is 4. Then again for D, the duration is 5, E is 7, and F is 3. So for each activity, you need to mark the duration. So A, B, C, D. For D, the duration is 5, and E, the duration is 7. Then F, the duration is 3. Then G, again it is 3. H, it is 6. I, it is 2. Then J, it is 5. K is 4. L, 3. M, 12. And N, 8. So this is our network diagram. In the network diagram, you will have to mark the nodes, activities, and the duration. Okay. So while calculating the critical path, we will have to calculate the earliest start time and latest completion time, that we will discuss in the next video. Okay. Thank you, students.